Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're going to have a look at the kit reveal for MORI CALLIOPE and TOKOYAMI TOWA. These two are the two collab units that are going to be released on April 9, and they're both SSR Plus units, which is a good thing for collab units because they are pretty cheap to max anyway, and also we have to consider that SSR Plus units are more likely to be good and relevant than SSR units, so I'm quite happy about that. But what I'm not happy about is the color choice. They went for yellow units, as we already saw when they had the sort of trailer for the collab. And that's really disappointing from my point of view. Yellow already had 7 SSR Plus units. Now they're going to go up to 9. And the other element that is yet to have a collab, and that is purple, only has 5 SSR Plus units, which would have made a lot of sense, like to add these two to the purple element. Also, thematically, they kind of match. We have a Reaper, we have a Devil, so it's kind of purplish kind of theme, but whatever, it is what it is. I have no idea what these devs are cooking or what their thoughts are. I don't know. We cannot change them, so we can only accept it and see how it goes. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the video and then we can comment on the actual base kit. Unfortunately, again, as usual, we don't have the percentages, we don't have the exclusive equipment, we don't have the revolution. So there is going to be a lot of guesswork going around here. But okay. First, let's start with the video and then we can see the rest. The model is pretty dope, pretty cool. Yellow Assassin. We just had Hugo like 2 updates ago, but fine. She has a dash with a fear and invincibility. AoE paralyze, pretty cool. Seems to be a single target fascinate with invincibility or barrier, whatever. And that is the animation. Okay, that's more or less all for the kit. Animation wise, looks pretty good. But now let's have a look at the kit starting from the passive. So at the start of the battle, she's going to summon Death Sensei. And Death Sensei is a summon, so it has a percentage of Calliope's stats. The only other summoner that is an SSR plus is Ren. Well, okay, there's also Gustan, but Gustan has 3 bots, and Ren has a similar setup as this one, with only having 1 bull when the fight starts. I would expect Calliope, Death Sensei, to have 160% of Calliope's stats, but considering there is a revive in the passive for the pet, and Ren doesn't have that, it could go down to like 140% or so. I don't know. I wouldn't expect it to be 120 like it is for Anna and Lilial. That would be pretty weird. But okay, we'll see. Even if it's 120, it could still be fine. We will have to see exactly how easy it is for him to be targeted, how tanky he is. I don't know. We'll see. We also have the status effect immunity for Death Sensei, so this summon cannot be CC'd, which is pretty dope. And it dies whenever Calliope dies. That's the same for every summoner, so that's fine. And then there is an effect whenever a unit dies, regardless of whether they are allies or enemies. Calliope is going to collect their soul and trigger an effect. This does not trigger on Death Sensei, but it seems to be triggering on any summoned being, which could be interesting if you're facing summoned beings or if you're with summoned beings. And whenever an ally dies, there is going to be a defense increase for Calliope and Death Sensei by a percentage until the end of the battle, with a maximum number of stacks, probably 4. We don't know the percentage. I would hope it's at least 120%, otherwise it makes no sense. And even if it is, this can be removed. It doesn't say that it cannot be removed by buff removal skills, which makes it pretty trash, in my opinion. It's really weird. It's a really weird decision because this is not easy to proc. And this is also not an effect you would like to proc. Like ally death, except for some summon beings like maybe Ghost and bots, is not something you want to see. And it would have made sense for her to be purple if you could then pair with Gustan. But it is what it is. Again, then we have the enemy death that is going to have a similar effect, but is going to increase attack instead. And again, can be removed. So whatever. I don't know what the percentage is going to be, but this is not good. And then we have that if Death Sensei is dead, she's going to resummon him. This is only procced on an enemy's death. So this is all together. This is not separate. This is not, oh, Death Sensei is dead, he revives. Or at least it shouldn't be. It could happen like that. That would be pretty cool. But I think the revive is tied to an enemy death. That's how I think it's going to be. They definitely have to make this passive a bit better. It's definitely undertuned compared to what we got in the recent times. And especially the fact that these effects can be removed is really disappointing. And if the percentage is anything lower than 120% per stack, I think it would suck pretty hard. But again, we'll see. Then we have the first active skill. She's going to create a spotlight, the one we saw in the second active skill, that is going to illuminate herself and Death Sensei for duration, recovering HP. Pretty weird choice. I don't know why she has her HP recovery on the summon and herself, but okay. Most likely the units are going to get one-shotted unless your deficit is around the 300, let's say. And then she's going to deal a percentage of her attack as damage to enemies in range every second and paralyze them for probably 1 second. This is going to be a similar effect to Kunagero special move. He also has paralyze every second for like 5 seconds. This one, we don't know what the duration is going to look like. The area is pretty small, so I don't have really high expectations, but it's likely you're going to stun 2 units if both you and Death Sensei are targeting different units. It is okay, it's a nice CC, but nothing massive. I was looking for something more probably from this unit. Then we have the other active skill, which is going to increase the attack of Calliope by percentage, conceal herself, and then move behind the enemy with the highest attack. I believe this is going to happen like as the first skill in the battle, so she could also run Rihanna potentially. And she's going to deal a percentage of her attack as damage and inflict the enemy with fear for a duration. We don't know how long that's gonna be. We don't know, like usually fear makes it so the enemy is going to move away from you. So it could also be that she's going to dash in the enemy team, target the highest attack, then the highest attack enemy is going to walk into your team, which could be good in some scenarios. So it could help with targeting, but it's not like a Yasracha that you can select the exact target you want. This is just the highest attack, you cannot change it. But okay, still okay, and there is a status effect immunity. But this is all there is to it. Both active skills are okay, but not really useful. So I don't know, feels a bit lacking. Then we have the special move, and Calliope is going to become invincible and make the enemy love struck. Then she's going to strike it down with the side, dealing damage equal to the percentage of her attack. And then the love struck enemies are going to become fascinated for a duration, and their physical resistance is decreased by a percentage for a duration. So, depending on how high this duration is, could be a good skill, especially if you can keep it up like for a long time, if you can give her a lot of energy and she can keep casting this. But I don't know. Also, it says enemies. Could be that it is an AoE, even though it seemed pretty small. The physical resistance decrease effect doesn't really say much over kit. Like, it's not really going to be that useful. I don't know, guys. So far, the kit is very lacking. Survivability wise, seems underwhelming. Damage wise, underwhelming as well. Utility wise, she just has physical resistance and a few crowd control. Probably is more of a crowd control unit than anything. Death Sensei doesn't seem to have a specific spawn, like maybe Anna's rabbit that is going to summon on the enemy with the highest attack. This one seems to be just spawning where Calliope is at the start of the battle, which means no early aggro, no early grouping. This is just weird, guys. I don't like this kit. I don't think this is going to be good. But again, we're missing the percentages, we're missing the sweet equipment, we're missing the revolution. Everything could change. She could be amazing, but the chances of that are very, very, very small. But Okay, let's move on to the next unit. So we have Tokoyami Towa, and let's watch the video and then again read the kit. Yellow support. Very nice AoE effect. Or, yeah. Also this one, AoE with Paralyze. And then again, knockdown on an AoE. So yeah, animation-wise, Towa is looking a lot better, I will say. But yeah, let's see what our kit does. We have a passive here that is, I would say, pretty solid. Is a pretty good passive. And we have BB, which is our summon being, but she's not targetable, unlike the Death Sensei. So BB is going to block a certain number of skill attack that are targeting Towa with a cooldown of, I don't know, a few seconds. So it's probably one skill attack, cooldown. I think Revolution Bomb has a similar effect and it was like 4 seconds, if I remember correctly. So I would expect something like that, like one skill with a 4-second cooldown, something like that. And whenever she uses a skill, she's going to grant some demonic powers to all allies. So all the effects we're going to read are going to be applied to every single unit in your team, and they're going to be different based on the skill used. Then we have Summon BB, which is the special move. Is going to increase the target's swiftness, and the target is everyone, by a number for a duration, maximum a number of stacks, and the duration resets when the stack refresh. Now, this is a massive buff. Swiftness increase for all of your team is going to be massive. The thing is, we don't know the amount. So if the amount is a total of like 20, then whatever, it doesn't really matter much. But if it is like 50, 60, that would be pretty good, I would say. So not bad as an effect, is probably the most important thing in her kit, I think, out of all she does. This is definitely really important. If it sucks as a number, it's going to be bad. But if it is pretty high, then this could be massive, guys. Then we have, whenever she uses one of the two active skills that we're going to read in a second, she's going to increase attack and defense for a duration with a number of stacks, and the stacks refresh. Now, unless the duration is super long, I doubt you're going to stack it, because an active skill usually has at the very least 20-second cooldown. So it's unlikely for that to happen unless you go for max cooldown reduction, lots of swiftness, and then it could happen. But I don't know. I have a feeling there's going to be probably the revolution that's going to say all effects proc whenever a skill is used. So even when you spam the special move, you're going to proc all three. That's just my guess, but we'll see what's going to happen. For now, this effect is pretty nice. It can be removed, but it's not like the one for Calliope. This one can be refreshed quite easily every time you use a skill, so it's not that big of a deal even if it is removed. Then we have for the other active skill is just an HP recovery every second for a duration. Fine. Not too important, but definitely okay. Then we have the first active skill, TMT. She's going to create a giant heart with her hands, dealing a percentage of her attack as damage to enemies in range, and paralyze them for a duration. Nice crowd control here, and we'll see how long that's gonna last. My guess would be like 4 or 5 seconds, definitely good. And then she's going to shock enemies hit for a duration, dealing a percentage of her attack as damage every second and reducing their attack by a percentage. So she has paralyze and shock. She's one of the few units that have shock. I think only 3 have it, and they are the 2 Kun Machini, so both the Data and the Purple SSR Plus. And then there is also Kun Ran, but I don't think that guy is really a unit. So yeah, one of the few units having shock. Does it matter? Not really, but okay. And the attack reduction could come in handy, so not too bad. Especially because this is AoE, so really nice. Then we have TMD. She's going to, again, deal damage to enemies in an area, then it's going to inflict bleed on them. So she already has two damage over time effects, shock and bleed. And bleeding enemies, okay, again, are going to take a percentage of our attack as damage every second and have their defense reduced by a percentage. I don't know how long this bleed is going to be. It's probably going to be like 5 seconds at best. But that's definitely a nice effect to have if you can nav it up quite reliably. Actually, it could even be 10 seconds since it is on an active skill, but we'll see. We'll see. Definitely quite good because it's an AoE defense decrease. If the percentage is anything lower than 60, it's going to be pretty bad. If it is like an 80%, this could be massive. If it's 40, it's basically non-existent. But we'll see. We'll see. Definitely lots of potential already. And then we have the special move. She's going to have again an AoE attack with a knockdown, and then the resistance, both physical and magical, of the enemy's hit is going to be decreased for duration. Not too massive. Like defense decrease is way more important. I would have preferred these two effects to be swapped actually, because active skills again are not as spammable as special moves. So I would have preferred defense decrease to be on the special move, but it is still fine. And then there is an HP recovery based on the damage dealt of the skill, which is useless in adventure, probably okay in PvP, but definitely not in adventure. This part is like it doesn't exist. And yeah, that's her whole kit. I would say there is a lot of stuff, like lots of debuffs, lots of buffs, healing, lots of CC. So she has a lot of potential actually. I think she could end up being a really amazing unit with the right exclusive equipment and the right revolution. If they give her really good numbers, and if they also have something else that is going to give energy to allies, she could be really massive. If she also applied something like invincibility to allies, that would be even better, but we don't know. We'll see, guys, what they're going to cook. But I would say of the two units, Calliope seems really lacking and super hard to make work. Uh, like they would really have to overkill it with exclusive equipment or revolution to make Calliope work. But Towa seems like has a lot of potential. Will not really need crazy exclusive equipment and revolution to work. So I have really high expectations for this unit. Could be a really nice support to have. If you can only pull for one, I could already tell you Towa is going to be the preferred choice. So yeah, that's more or less all, guys, for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you agree or you don't. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.